Welcome to Donington Park and welcome to a whole new season of the Radical Challenge. The cars are set to do their first of 3 races of the weekend, a slightly revised format this year indeed, because the endurance races, and there are 2 of those this weekend, go up from 40 to 50 minutes. The front of the grid, Jerome de Sadelier and the reigning champion Dominic Jackson. There are a number of new faces, however, on the grid for this opening race, and amongst them, having been an occasional racer in other assorted categories, motor racing broadcaster John Hindhoff.
I'm a tin top man normally, GT4s, that sort of thing. In fact, I was last out with an Aston Martin on Hankook tyres at the Circuit of the Americas a couple of seasons ago, and I thought it was too good an opportunity to pass up. All my racing driver friends rave about SR3s, and now I know why. When you look at a car like the SR3, you can't help but think, first of all, it looks like a proper racing car. Well, I can tell you now it drives like a proper racing car as well. I've had to completely recalibrate my racing brain, which is not a very big brain, and there's not very much left of it to go racing, to be honest. But I've had to completely recalibrate how I think about Donington Park. The last time I raced here was in a 6-hour race in a Porsche 924. Now, believe it or not, the track hasn't changed since then. You wouldn't believe that, having seen my onboard and how I had to drive. It's like a different circuit. Everything's happening so much quicker. But for someone who doesn't drive enough or often enough, what I've taken out of this is how accessible the performance of the SR3 is. It gives you all of the right feedback. As a gentleman driver, certainly not expecting a phone call anytime soon to be a pro. As a gentleman driver, what you want is a car that you can feel comfortable and confident in, and the SR3 has that in spades. In fact, the harder you drive it and the faster you drive it, the more rewarding it is. And my heart rate's been right up through the roof all the way through this. I'm normally quite calm behind the wheel. I do endurance racing normally. This has been full on, everything happening. Where have I got to be next? What gear am I in? Where should I turn in? You know, Danny Sullivan once said, adrenaline is the drug you can't buy. Well, I can tell you can. And it's Radical SR3. That's adrenaline. Pure adrenaline, proper race car. Analog, no aids. It's brilliant.
The first race of the weekend then is set to get underway here. It's based on a driver's best qualifying time out of the session this morning, and it's Jerome de Sadelier, the German-based Swiss driver, who lines up on pole position with the reigning champion Dominic Jackson for company, ahead of Mark Richards and then John McLeod. Lower down the order, there are 1 or 2 regulars in Radicals. It's such a family atmosphere that once you're hooked, it's very hard to go off and do anything else. John Hindhoff will line up 18th, and Grant Dalton, OBE, the CEO of the Emirates Team New Zealand, he is going to be at the rear of the grid. He's no stranger to car racing himself. Let's see how those 2 newcomers to Radicals get on as the rolling start lap is done. The pace car peels in. We are set to go racing. The first of 2 50-minute races of the weekend is go, and it's Jerome de Sadelier then that gets the best start on the inside then from pole position down towards Redgate for the first time. Dominic Jackson to the outside line, bit of a lock-up from lower down the order. There, Rod Goodman goes round the outside and spins. There's a tangle, and Goodman is in the gravel at the very first corner of the season, and he's not the only one involved in all of that, because also off the road has gone John McLeod. The entrepreneur gets going again, but I'm afraid to say that Rod Goodman does not. He is stuck in the gravel bed and going no further as the leaders then come down towards the old hairpin. I'm just fearful that we might end up with a safety car to get him out of harm's way. To the chicane, round the outside line goes Dominic Jackson. There's a bit of a rub, but he goes through. He's over the curb, he's over the gravel as well, but he takes back the race lead. Dominic Jackson then leads, and there's somebody off in a big way coming down towards the chicane. That is Ollie Marapiotto Jr. The wine merchant, I'm afraid, is very definitely uncorked, and he is up against the wall. Safety car peels back in, way out wide. Look, goes to Sadelier. He's all over the curb, he's all over the grass, and that gives away 1, 2 places at least. So Dominic Jackson it is who leads on the restart, going down towards Redgate, and now is saying to build up the advantage as John Hindhoff has a go on the inside line there to try to get past Grant Dalton. The Kiwi, though, fends him off. Dominic Jackson looking good up front. The man chasing him at the moment is Mark Richards. Over the timing line they come, but now the real attack is going to have to come from the delayed Jerome de Sadelier. He's down in what, 5th place as they come through Redgate corner. Ahead of him, the next target, Jack Constable, new to Radicals this year, having raced in the Ginetta Super Cup. And that's John Hindhoff losing a place, diving down, losing 2 places no less, diving down towards Redgate. Race leader over the timing line, Dominic Jackson getting away. Mark Richards behind him, the private equity man from London. And then battle is on for 3rd place. Now, de Sadelier, who comes from a good racing family, brother Hugo, father Stanislas de Sadelier, races both. And this is John Hindhoff's view as he tries to get his place back from Grant Dalton up the inside into the chicane, scrabbles by on the inside line. Dalton will try to fight back. Grant, who has done some racing going all the way back to 2007 in saloons back in New Zealand. There, diving to the inside line to try to make the move. Look, is Jack Constable, but he gets an absolute face full of Brian Cordwell, who then runs wide over the curb. But he just hangs on to the place. Nose to tail then, they run for 4th and 5th places down through the Craner curves. Constable lines up at Redgate, makes the move on the inside, and this time he's got the job done, but will he go out wide? There's the danger of it, he's up the curb. Cordwell tries to fight back on the inside at Hollywood, switches sides, but no, Jack Constable has fended him off as the pit window now opens. Pit window between 20 and 30 minutes, and as it opens, the safety car being deployed once more. Race leader is in. Now, why do we have a safety car looking around to try and piece it all together? This is going to really throw strategy up into the air. Some are staying out, others are pitting and getting it out of the way. Might be Barry Liversidge that we've lost. Certainly John Cordwell is no longer circulating. More and more pit stops cycle through. That's Peter Tyler coming in. Peter kart racer in the early 1980s, so long ago, he reckons he can't even remember when he started racing. More of them pour to the pit lane. Brian Cordwell is in now. Dominic Jackson's on his way out of the pit lane, back into the race. The question is whether or not he's managed to hang on to the race lead. Remember, all of these cars are the same. All the Radical SR3, 226 brake horsepower, 3.1 seconds for a 0 to 60 time. Top speed, 147 miles an hour. 1500cc, 4-cylinder Suzuki engines. And they're all being revved out of the pit lane now as the pit window comes to an end. Some are in, some are out. 35 Grant Dalton comes in. Also in there you see Jerome de Sadelier. Tyre pressure's checked. There's very little you can do really during these pit stops. And when you get to the second endurance race of the weekend, there will be pit stop success times added on. Now that wave of cars has to stop at the end of the pit lane while the safety car comes through. Now the drivers are released. And in all of this, the safety car crew is looking for a race leader. So those cars now allowed to pour back out onto the circuit. Now Dominic Jackson was the race leader when the pit window opened and the safety car came out. So is he going to slot in as the leader behind the safety car? I think that's what the safety car crew has in mind as the last of the pit stops now cycle through. Jerome de Sadelier down the pit road then. That wave of cars is released. So they now can play catch up. Jerome de Sadelier then, after not a great start, putting a lot of energy into this to try to get himself back into the mix. Rest of the field coming through at a decent pace as well now. As you see, they're all trying to latch onto the back of the leading car behind the safety car, all of which of course is eating into the 50 minutes. And there is the safety car. They've got a lot of work to do to try to catch up now. So the safety car comes down towards Redgate corner. It has got Dominic Jackson behind. Then, look, you will see the laps, John Hindhoff, and in second place now, it is Mark Richards. Now, how many more laps are we going to get into the 50 minutes before the very end? This is John Hindhoff's view, and he's staring at the back of the race leader. Safety car in, Dominic Jackson storms away. Mark Richards keen to get past the back markers. He's up towards the timing line, then he can overtake when he gets to the green flag. Behind him, there is Jerome de Sadelier. They both swoop round the outside of Hindhoff going into Redgate. And de Sadelier there does get through. Now he concentrates the attack on Mark Richards for second place as they plunge downhill once more. It's looking good though, this, for Dominic Jackson. He's built the gap. Now remember, de Sadelier, as he goes wide there coming out of the chicane, did that earlier on one of the safety car restarts and lost ground as a result. Into Redgate they go. Jerome de Sadelier from pole position should in theory have the pace now. What can he do about Mark Richards for that second place? Jackson though is looking good up front. He comes down towards the chicane as the change happens for second place. Through on the inside line goes Jerome de Sadelier. His brother, third in LMP2 at Le Mans last year. Are we going to see more of Jerome on an international LMP stage in the not too distant future? Don't bet against it. He's up to second spot, but gives himself a lot of work to do now against the race leader as he swoops through Redgate once more. Dominic Jackson for the final time comes down towards the chicane. He has dominated this twice interrupted race, but the checkered flag is at the ready, and Dominic Jackson is going to win the opening round of the Radical Challenge. He comes up to take the checkered flag to win at Donington. Dominic Jackson then victorious, and by some margin. We await anybody else to be second. Dominic Jackson wins race 1 by over 8 seconds from Jerome de Sadelier. It's Mark Richards third ahead of Jack Constable in 4th, Brian Murphy 5th, and Spencer Bourne coming through in 6th place. A very happy trio of drivers on the podium, and 2 more races still to come this weekend. And the second of them is going to be the sprint race. That's coming up next.